Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Allie with Amory Speaks, and as titled, this is a deep dive into reading Friday card pull that I just did on the 19th of July, 2024, and today's the 20th, just in case anybody's in the future, welcome. Don't worry about, the date specifically either so much if you're well in the future. The messages for you, you're called to hear these messages for reasons, so don't worry sort of about the time, please. But for those of us in real time, I'm making this video to go into the 4 cards that I pulled on Friday. Typically, I only pull 1 card, and lately I've been sort of getting into 2 or 3 here and there, depending on what's called during that time. It pops out of the deck sometimes. And as I mentioned on Friday, sorry, there's like a guy with a motorcycle in the parking lot now, of course. I hope it doesn't get too loud. Sorry. Typically I just pull 1 card. If you're not a regular or you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on here. And if tarot or oracle cards or angels or any of that kind of divination, spirituality calls to you, I have a ton of videos on the topic, but I do every Friday on Telegram a live poll for a card for the week for us, collectively and individually. It's a reflective of both, or an asking for a message of a reflecting of both. And sometimes I do more than 1 card. It kind of, like I said, it depends on what happens. But if you're interested in that, you could always check my channel out on Fridays. I usually mirror it and upload it over onto YouTube, which bounces into BitChute. So depending on where you're viewing this, find me there. Whatever platforms you use. But I had done sort of a prolonged bit of a grounding session at the start. I usually do this little meditation at the beginning of those Friday videos, and it was kind of long, and then I didn't want to read every one of the cards because the video was already long. I thought I would do a deep dive into all of them at a later time, so here we are. So just for those of us who were watching, and I don't want to go too into backtracking about the collective sort of umbrella theme also that the reading is done under. But just in case anybody is new or for whatever reason, I just want to kind of tie in and recall back that throughout July, we're working through the theme from traditional tarot, and that is the King of Rods this month for us. And I am amazed at the manifestations and the presentations that we are seeing play out collectively out there in the stage of the mainstream that really call up us in this sort of kingly manner, and the sort of spirit of the whole kingdom and what the kingdom stands for, and the sort of tiered hierarchy and the communities that it represents. And the King of Rods especially, not only is it sort of the tip-top pinnacle of evolution through all the character types that make up inside a kingdom, it's also a point of that power and justice, and whether you choose to use it self-servingly or choose to use it for betterment of all. And that basically is whether you choose, alignment to service to self or service to others, positively aligned or negatively aligned, right? And that really shapes the kind of kingdom that we see and what kind of king you are. And we're seeing so many displays of manyness, many versions of that out there. Really reactive, really amplified. But what we should remember and be called to be doing, right, is flipping the lens and saying, okay, from those external variations in those circumstances that I have seen played out in front of me, what is my own personal standing? How would I react? How will I react in situations like that? How do I choose to interpret that in my own life? And instead of really externalizing and creating victims and scapegoats and bullies and all these sort of figures out there to place blame and move around, and waste time really with, honestly, because it doesn't affect those things and it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect those things or their circumstances or how they're going to play out. All it really does is affect you. And if instead you pull out of those external things and then ask yourself, well, how in my life can I better embody a stronger king-like figure, a stronger leader? How can I lead my passions and direct my energies in my personal domain in a better, more responsible way? How can I keep myself in check and ensure that I am being honorable and not doing X, Y, and Z like I've seen out there? Or conversely, seeing great acts of honorability and chivalry and wanting to embody those and using those to find those things and say, I am capable of that. And if I was in that, I would do that. And if something comes up like that, I'm going to do something like this. And empowering yourself with these sort of reflections. Using them as transmutation and alchemy sessions, right? Not using them as chess piece running a mill out in sort of a frenetic way of spinning your reels, trying to formulate solutions, happenings, purposes, and whys. Because that all is very electrically, energetically, negatively aligned, and it's like food to the shadow. It is, and we cannot be feeding it anymore. It's over obese now. It is over the top of a complete sloth, totally grotesque and gruesome in every variety of overgrowth and moreness of needing and consumption to prove to itself that it is not enough, and to confirm that God is a lie, and to confirm that you cannot be eternal. You do not evermore, ever last, just by being connected to God and owning that. They want to discard that, say that they don't want to own it, and then pretend that moreness out in a fake reality and collection and hoarding of unreal items is going to somehow compete with the infinity and the wholeness of the gift of that God gives you with your eternal flame and being alive in that life. It's a confliction. It's a cognitive bias. It's a liar loop that's what I like to call it. But that's where it all stems from, honestly. And each time that we find ourselves in these sort of loops, or we find ourselves lost, or we don't know the truth, or we're confused, if we always follow the breadcrumbs back to the oneness, to your wholeness, to your truth of sovereignty, and your full purpose in life here, you'll hear the whispers of the answers. You have to sit quietly enough and then ask and wait to hear, in order to receive. It's a two-way street with lots of traffic, and it needs to have, the crowd parted in order for the message to come through, and when we decide to sit down and like I do at the sessions before I do the readings, become a good audience, become grounded in yourself, center in your present moment for a few minutes, do all these things. Sorry, it's early in the morning and it's kind of polleny where I'm at. I have like a bit of reactions going on, allergies or whatever. And I'm totally on a tangent of shadow working, but I just think it's so important right now in the present moment to be getting down to business now. And I'm saying all this and bringing it all up as a reflection of what's happening and being presented with us. Excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze. Or not. Or it's just going to disappear. I'm bringing all of these things up as examples in the external to sort of be like supportive pieces as we talk about the cards that I pulled. And also, you know, not just as a designation of what we've been working through the whole month, as I was saying with the King of Rods, right? How we direct our power and how we see others using their power around them, and what kind of judgments we make about those, and which way we stand to choose in them. The card is upright, and I feel there is an abundance and an overall collective shift that's now maintaining an over 51% of collective positivity. I think that we've been stunted and retarded for a very long time, and some of the mechanisms or constraints that were doing that sort of strangulation of the spirit layer have been removed or have chosen to disperse. Maybe they've chosen light. Maybe they chose their truths. I hope that they have, because the calling of God is so loud now, and the remembrance of a one path is like 10 times 10 stronger than it has been. With the shifting and moving now, it's celestial. You know, the gross body, the macro large body movements have shifted into positive playing ground, to where we have the benefit of the doubt, kind of. We have the strength and the fertile grounding. We have more of the collective whole. As of before, it was not that way, right? The negative has had a stranglehold, and they have crept in their stranglehold over decades and generations of time, and perhaps a couple of cycles. I'm not quite sure, because I don't do a lot of venturing into exploration in that way. I don't want to become entangled. It's way too much of their rabbit holes and rabbit snares, and I just don't want to be a rabbit anymore. I want to be a free being. I want to evolve into myself, higher self, and be called to what I am called to, and my purposes, not chasing around the next meal, sort of the next hit, the next thing, like a rabbit, right? Like an instinctual thing. Play on words and the mechanisms, the magic of it all, the visualizations of the metaphors and how they play out in real life, in parallels, how we manifest these thought things down and they play out just like a theater. The world is a stage. These things are not said for no reason, right? They tell you everything from the start, from the get-go. It's just that we say, oh, it's a joke. But truth is said in jest. And so we should always remember the truths and take them into ourselves and use them. Not forget them. Laugh at the joke. Yes, always let's laugh at the joke. But don't be fooled by the trick. You can laugh bigger and harder at the whole joke, too, when you're not fooled by the joke, by the whole trick, So let's get in remembrance of what's happening in the world, and not be sucked down into the sort of oohs and ahs of the audience, and being by the Hollywood scenes thinking that that's the end-all be-all of anything. It's depictions played out for us supposed to be using as reflections to do inner working. But I know most of us are learning this, most of us are getting there. I, as myself, am a slow student, and I tell my mentors, and I tell all people I work with, and I also tell inner self and my inner child, be that slow student. And I thank you for being a slow student, because it creates better teaching as well. It creates more nuances of mistakes or miscorrections, possible misinterpretations. Let's smooth it out. Let's air it out, get those wrinkles so we can really see the wholeness even better. Yeah, it takes a bit more time, but in the long run, it will pan out better, And now I'm going to get into the cards. I've been talking for 14 minutes, and I could go on so many more shadow lesson metaphors and talk about that collectively and individually. But I'm going to now use the cards to bring in let the cards speak more clearly about the depth that they would like us, and the spirit, and all of these sort of higher knowings, more tapped into this sort of higher sight than you can even get in a first-person view, and see what they think is prevalent and what they would like us to sort of hone into. because sometimes you can get caught up in the direct world view and miss things that are very obvious when you have that beautiful hindsight, foresight, and higher sight that comes with that sort of spirit layer view. So for a reminder for our cards, right, we had first pop up vision, and that is the very first card that I'm going to read. And I think I'll go through the cards and read them, and we'll see what comes up. And please, as you hear the reading from the book, listen with open ear and heart, and just try to allow whatever permeates and comes in to stick in. Things that immediately come up and say, oh, yes, I know that, or oh, wow, that's a word I've heard before, or a sentence or calling, or wow, they spoke this thing I couldn't even put into words, right? Take note of those immediate influential pieces, but also leave open and allow the rest to soak in. And keep thinking about it later. And allow yourself to contemplate or ruminate later, not just on those pieces that really called your forefront attention. You know, don't just start immediately kind of going on that and just focusing on all your energy on those things that you specifically remember. But allow it to soak in, and then allow yourself to speak it back out throughout the day later. And you'll be surprised at sort of what regurgitates out of you, because it's intermingled now with all the inner processes, with your inner thoughts, with subconscious, even with shadow, with higher self, and with God, right? Any forms and versions that you love to interact with. You know, they can sort of put their marker on it throughout the day while it's soaking into your being, so that later when inspiration comes to you, or even third party, something in your direct world might come that's like a synchronicity. And that will be their gift to you about it. That will be their little enlightenment, their, sprinkles on top of the thing that you're working on already. Because remember, these things are co-creation. Just like divination is a spiritual practice of communion in space that you're communicating with something larger than the self. You're honoring that. Your piece in it, your portion, as well as your unique, influential impact that is a part of the wholeness. So yeah, giving time for yourself to listen, and yeah, thank you so much for actually taking the time to even come back to this video and hear about it more deeply in the first place. So vision number 91, backwards of 19, on the 19th, first card pulled. And I didn't even notice that either. And we're at the threshold, new moon, this sort of new beginnings, endings, this really wild, total conjunction of like dark and light, and the absolute yin-yang sort of depictions of this really great alchemy, you know? I love that. I absolutely love that. I missed that first time around. Thank you very much for that great teaching of, eat a piece of humble pie, because you don't even realize sometimes those amazing synchronicities that was right in front of me that day, Friday, when I pulled the card. And I could have talked for a half an hour just about that first card, and it being 1991, the whole numerology behind exactly what that means is the full moon and what the full moon is meaning. And I kept shuffling, but like I mentioned in the video, and like I'm doing right now, but it's a collective energy of overness. Even spirit is over loud right now, over amplified, but they're singing to us, because they want everyone, even the deaf ones in the back, and even the ones who are chatting and gossiping and haven't listened to the song yet, they want them to hear the chorus and join in. And so it's all, every speaker that can go is going right now. So honoring it. I pulled 3 more cards. Let's do it. Thank you. This is a message about honoring your vision. It asks you to trust the mental images that you've been receiving, as they're the answers to your prayers. Your prophetic visions will bring blessings to you and your loved ones. You know they're heaven inspired because they're of a loving nature. Only follow messages that ask you to act on behalf of God's love. And wow, to know, and I just spoke about how amplified the shadow is, how intrusive and infringing they are. And beware, and be mindful of these intrusive, infringing thoughts, random things coming, piercing through into you or popping up, or old habitual habits and shadow being able to be a bit louder and poking at things that bothered it for a while. Notice them, stand up to them, say, I hear you, I see you, what do you want from me? And if it's not a harmonious solution, if it's not something that we can work through the best for, if you're not going to tell me what you need to feel better and move on, then I don't have time for you. Go back to your corner and sulk in a corner, please, shadow, if that's what you're choosing to do on your own. You're choosing a lie and little belittleness, then go do it to yourself over there, because you're not going to do it to me, and I'm not going to watch you do it to yourself, because I know you're better and bigger than that. There goes my stomach rattling. But this is what, this is working that I do with my own shadow, and this is divine, unconditional, tough love. This is the violet flame. This is the rainbow sword, the violet sword, however you like to look at, if you like to look at it. I'm not going to get carried away. There's so many depictions, okay? But that's exactly what I feel like we're called upon right here, right? And the way that we know that we're acting and that it's just in righteousness in the way that we stand for boundaries, right, is that we follow that truth and that we know we're connected to God and that it is done as a great service to all. And it is a seeking of harmonious solutions, that which benefits the highest good of all involved. Anyways, back to here. Your guardian angel is helping you clearly see the truth within your present situation. This involves a dual perspective. First, hold on to the intention of seeing divine light within everything and everyone. This helps the highest possible outcome to occur. Have faith. Second, allow yourself to see the earthly and human truth of this situation. Is someone or something out of balance with integrity? Admit this to yourself and clearly witness the perspectives and motivations of everyone involved. This could also be a message from your angels to have your physical vision checked or corrected. Prayer can help by healing your sight and also by leading you to the best optometrist or other eye care professional. Your angels surround your physical and spiritual vision with light. Look through their eyes and you'll see the best within yourself and life itself. I just love that. And Jesus taught that, looking through light, looking through at the sun in the morning and hearing, the angel of light and many other angels, but speaking to you and seeing through their eyes and allowing them to see through their eyes as you look through the light gently through your eyelashes almost. Listen to the Gospel of Peace if you're interested in learning about those sort of teachings that he is offering. Now, 3 cards came out at once after the initial card of the vision popped out that I just talked about. And those 3 cards were in a row, kind of stuck together, and they felt like, sometimes cards feel like gravity magnetically pulled together kind of to me. And it felt like that. And as I opened them and spread them apart, I saw stress management, believe with St. Hildegard in the middle, and wise decision at the end. And we've seen just recently in June, the start of June, so I was just looking over at my notes here that I have on my bed, St. Hildegard. And I shared some music from her on my Telegram channel recently, but I'll probably reshare some stuff on her. I really am loving listening to the music that she wrote. It's so beautiful. I'm just looking because I know recently we've also had, well, I feel like we could have, but I could be wrong because I don't see it either. But I thought we had stress management and wise decision recently. But, I mean, not since months ago, beginning of the year. So, we could think that we're bringing back, wise decision was back in January, excuse me. So tying back into energies that were here at the beginning of the year. And again, threshold sort of energies. Tying in endings and beginnings, bringing back the sort of things that we were sort of new in January. Yes. I don't see stress management. Anyways, I'm going to read the cards, and we're getting a little long anyway, so let's go. I have wise decision open now, since it's actually 93 right after the vision card. So let's hear what we have. The decision you're considering is a wise one. This card is a message from your angels asking you to trust their inner wisdom. Sometimes you worry about your decision-making abilities because in the past, some of your choices seemed unwise. Yet, if you truly think about it, you ultimately learned and gained a lot from them. In that way, you can't make a wrong decision, can you? In this instance, you're concerned with following God's will. You'll know that you're on the best path when your actions are guided by a peaceful feeling. If there's some part of you that doesn't feel good about what you're doing, then you're veering from the truth. Sometimes staying on track means taking what seems to be the most difficult route. Your angels ask you to trust in their ever-present love, support, and protection. If you're making some major life changes, then your continued prayers will help you to stay connected to your divine guidance. Like a pilot who's constantly checking in with the air traffic controllers, you must speak and listen to heaven as you go along. Trust the messages of ethics, truth, and love. They're real, and they're the wisest choice for you to make. And I feel collectively, a lot of us, those of us who have been making choices, we have come across these scenarios where we're questioning if we've made good choice or not. And I think, I'm constantly reminding myself and sort of, giving myself a little boost up with being like, that's it. The tests are they're little checkpoints that I'm meant for and that come to me on purpose, to see, are you ready for the next one? Are you ready? Are you fit enough? Can you, how strong are you? And each one I kind of see as a little bit of a gaining point, a strengthening, a little new definition point in the pixelation of the picture of me, that makes me a little clearer, that makes it a little more beautiful, makes it have more definition. I'll read stress management next, which is number 85. Your angels are working with you to reduce the impact of stress. Pay close attention to your divine guidance, such as thoughts or feelings about taking a rest, exercising, changing your routine, and avoiding conflict. You need to both reduce stress in your life and manage the way it's affecting you. To lessen this burden, you'll need to be assertive with people and say no to unwanted requests. Don't do anything out of guilt or obligation. Only engage in activities that you can perform out of a loving service. Avoid harsh environments, violent media, and negative relationships. Face any situations that are worrying you head on. It's better to make plans for dealing with problems rather than to deal with chronic worry by avoiding them. Managing stress involves taking excellent care of yourself. This means exercising, getting outside in nature, and consuming only healthful foods and beverages. Your angel also guides you to surround yourself with uplifting music, flowers, and loving relationships, which can definitely include pets. Give any cares or needs to your guardian angels and ask them to help you receive divine wisdom in dealing with any stressful matters. Your angels will also help you to see the love and light within each situation so that your thoughts are peaceful. And I'll just say, like, as a side note and as a personal blurb, you know, I'm literally working so much through this lately. For the past month, really, every day for myself has been, I have been hitting the gym mentally and spiritually with this exact work around healthful eating, around being stressed out about what I'm eating, about seeking the best things to eat, about seeking God's divine knowledge about what is right for me to eat, to feed my family, how to live, how to honor organic rightness, and to find that sort of whatever it is, pivotal, pivotal's not even the right word, but I'm starting getting a little too over emotional, too personal, but to find those unique right truths and to honor those pieces within my own systems and physical vessel, the world around me, what to do to best move forward in healthful ways that can bring me to the best wellness, you know, my fullest health and wellness. And same thing for my children and my family. And it's a real struggle. And it has been. And I'm choosing it every day and every single day to come back to it and to say, okay, well, you know, how do I do it? How do I get through these hard times? How do I come up against all of these different scenarios and catalysts that come up with, you know, trying to not eat all of these types of foods that, especially here in America, it's embedded into everyday life. It's a cultural, everywhere you look, every section of reality has toxins and poisons and these ways and chances to hurt yourself and harm yourself. And a lot of them are covered in false framework that looks super sweet. It's such a metaphor. It's such a great working for me right now. It's such a play on language. It's such a trick. And it's a falsity and it's not right. And also, it's like, but what is right and what is real? Because I want a sweet life. I want to be sweet to myself in a good way, because doing that with moderation and having and treating yourself and honoring yourself and loving yourself, it is good and it is capable. And there's plenty of good ways to enjoy wondrous parts of life that offer great sweetness, that aren't over the top, that aren't harmful, that aren't full of false, artificial creations that are toxic and inorganic. Because, yeah, at the end of the day, when we're eating all those things, those are becoming us, and those are taking us further away from our path to our true self, our path to our higher self, to ascension, to our crystalline light body, to whatever you like to call that or look at that as. The Jesus, the Christ consciousness in you, heaven on earth, you know, whatever the being you were before and after that you will return to, you know, the child of God that you see yourself as, your soul essence, all these things, you know. Seeking better ways is causing stress sometimes, and it is, especially in the world and on the mainstream here. You know, we see this, and we see in the sort of new age, in the health world, in the fitness worlds, even in sort of the alternative health naturopathic worlds. There's all of these huge false reflections, sheep's and wolf's clothings, you know, magicians with masks on, running negative systems, wanting us to go and be tricked into them. So it's very, you know, it can be stressful to try to figure out the ways through. But like the cards are saying, honor ourselves, our truth, and your connection to God will always show you the strings. It'll make you see the mask. It'll make you feel some kind of distortion and no, wait a minute, that don't completely sound right. I see a wrinkle in that curtain or in that shirt, and they said they just pressed it completely. You know, something will pop up, and we always need to listen to that and confront that and go with that. And that leads us to our final card, which is believe, because this can be really hard to do. And what do we do sometimes? You know, yes, like stress management honor the times we need rest and relaxation. We need to charge our light. We need to ensure that we're doing shadow and light work as the energy alchemist beings we are. Not getting too into light, not getting too into shadow, and not collecting overbalanced momentum and charge in either polarity, but using them both to collect a momentum that's a centered momentum of polarity that drives you towards the highest path, which is the middle ground, you know, the harmonious solution through. Honoring your average so that your average can become more centered in the whole, and so that you can gain a better whole charge collectively and be driven towards your oneness, your connection of God, with clear sight, with way better directionality and all of that. But you have to do that between knowing what you're balancing and knowing that there's a balancing act going on, right? So charging yourself, doing light and shadow work at the right times, honoring those cycles within yourself is really important in stress management. And that calls us to believe. And sometimes we need to just really believe. Card number page number 17 with the Saint Hildegard of Bingen, which I really, like I said at the start of this video, she was a recent card in June, and I really got into digging into her that week and listening to a lot of her music and some of her writings and things, which I had looked into sporadically before, but this time I got into it a little bit more in-depthly, and it was really unlocking for me and so helpful to work with her, try to step into her shoes, learn more about her, sort of bring her costume, her archetype, her saintly essence and purpose and being into my sort of closet working in my heart of the costumes that, I work with and learn from. And I've done meditations on that sort of heart wardrobe in your heart center. If you love that idea, maybe you've done them already or not. It's not my own. I didn't make it up completely. It's out there in many different shades and workings of different varieties. Perhaps you've heard of it from others. I'm not saying I lay claim to it. But I did a lot of work in June with that, sort of actively bringing out that and actively seeking her in her own way as well. Not just putting on what I think are her clothes, sort of, and reading out a speech from a dead piece of paper, like her written word, and then saying I'm her, or saying I got something from that. That you can do that, and if that works to you in an actor's portrayal, you learn things from that. But make sure you do, and know that that's a tiny slice of the whole pie available and working, and that actually just taking the costume off and looking at it, sitting in yourself, in your own real role of you, who you are this time around, and waiting for that costume to enliven itself with spirit essence, which it will in imagination space if you wait long enough. You can receive messages from it and hear a little bit of third-party perspective that they'd like to offer, whoever it is, would like to offer. So let's read what we have for the actual offering for the card here, right? To heal and improve the situation, it's important for you to believe. Have faith in miracles, the power of God's healing love, and the essential goodness within people. This is an important factor in determining the outcome of this situation. St. Hildegard of Bingen demonstrated that to bring God's message to the world, you must believe in yourself. You are qualified. You are ready and prepared. You can do it. I think we all need to hear this right now. No matter where your walk-up has gotten you to this moment in today, it's the threshold that we're at is like fresh start for everyone and anything. It doesn't even matter, because the new choice, the new dawn is here. Every day is new, really, but this is the gross body movement, letting everyone know, You can make a new choice. You can. If you've been called to do something else, if you've been backed into a corner before, wrangled, or you haven't given yourself X, Y, and Z for such and such reasons before this, but forget it all now. This is the time you do that thing, or you don't do that anymore. You know, whatever it is, and know that you can do it, whatever it is. The saint overcame tremendous self-doubt and became a multi-talented author, musician, and healer. This was especially remarkable considering that women in her era, which was 1098 to 1179, weren't expected to accomplish worldly deeds. She was born the 10th child in her family and sent to live in a convent in order to reduce her parents' financial burdens. Wow, right? Hildegard began having spiritual visions as a young child. She was eventually called upon to write books about them. She overcame tremendous self-doubt about her literary skills and later wrote, "But although I heard and saw many things, because of doubt and low opinion of myself, and because of diverse sayings of men, I refused for a long time a call to write." So if you've been refusing a call to write, if you've been refusing a call to do anything because of whatever reasons, right? Know that you can do it and you should do it. And it's not, everything we do is never meant to be done as another has done it. That's not why you're called to do it. Things are not cookie cutter. It's meant for you, or well, it's a cookie cutter thing to do, but it's meant for you to put your gingerbread decoration on it the way you choose to. Each motion, each way you put that frosting on, the uniqueness of this, the way you hold that pen, makes it unique, makes it God's new discovery of potentiality, of one piece of the definition of the pixelation of manyness in the whole screen that's God is witnessing and loving and a part of and designed. Saint Hildegard is also known for orchestrating rich music, chants, and for 2 books on bringing physical health by using items found in nature. And I highly recommend looking into those. I'll probably share links that I found last week that I didn't actually I didn't share, because I did share a couple, but I found a couple other free PDFs that are pretty great. So I'll share those on Telegram because I found them on Telegram. If you're finding this on YouTube and you don't use Telegram, maybe I'll perhaps try to find outside links and drop some other places that you could find either free PDF online or whatever, titles, and you can go searching on your own for her. But anyways, do your own seeking and searching as always. Not that you need to wait on me, or I think anybody should be waiting on me. And please don't wait on me, because if you ever have, God forbid and forgive me, if you have and I haven't followed through with certain things, because sometimes I am working on that. It's an active piece of my journey, but as I have always so many ideas and projects going on, occasionally things that I mean to get to sooner I don't, or sometimes things I completely forget about and they end up burnt on the back burner in there, and one day I go remember, or I find some note somewhere and I say, oh my gosh, I never even did that, I never finished that, oh. But I truly believe all things unfold with divine timing, and if something gets lost or forgotten about for a portion of time, it's for a divine reason. And that later at some time it will become uncovered again, and that will have a great reason for it as well. So thank you so much for your attention and your audience here today, for listening to these in-depth messages from our cards and saints and angels for this week. What an amazing week we're in for. I can already really feel the energies of this full moon. It was beautiful last night, just a little snippet on the corner, almost not completely full. If you haven't had a chance, be sure to get out there and appreciate it, even if it's just for 2 seconds, 2 minutes, as you're in a parking lot or walking or from here to there. Take a second to look at the beautiful moon, to gaze up at the sun with your eyes shut for just a moment, and feel gratitude for your place and space on earth, and for yourself, and for being a conscious, aware piece of humanity at this crucial point in junction in time, because some are not. Yes, we're becoming more, and so many, each day and every moment, more and more of us, we're gaining awareness. But there are others who are behind the curve. And also there's people who are just welcoming in, and they're new. And so let's try to not overwhelm, and let's try to remember what it was like when we were sort of new and ease the newcomers into things and offer slowly what is at their level, and let them chew their food at their own pace, and choose what's kind of next in their course as to what they would like to, not just jamming in things because they're awake now, And I found myself doing that, and it's in the energy in the air right now to just sort of be really connected and really like, this is what I've been doing. This is what, the floodgates have kind of opened. But we have to also remember temperance and moderation, and remember that can be stressful for some people, and it can be exhausting after a little while for even those of us who have tons of energy. So honor your cycles, honor your own energies, offer outlet and service freely as often and as best as you can. But as soon as you start to feel a pull of, I need to rest, or I'm doing this for some kind of reason, or I have strings attached, or I feel obligated, pull back, say no, don't do that. Go meditate, go inside, go do prayers, go have a snack, have some water, whatever you need to recharge, have a sleep, a rest, whatever you do. Read a book, hug a child, a baby or a pet, look through a photo album, read a book, sing a song, play music, all of these things. Dance, paint, whatever your callings are. And they can be new and different every day. Do one of those for a few. Go inside and breathe at that inner flame and feel its warmth, and remember the organic naturalness that God set that there, and that it doesn't need anything to go, that just being alive and having breath in your lungs, that's it. That's the whole thing. And just by sitting and breathing and doing work for yourself at the moment that you need to is actually honoring yourself and honoring your purpose here. And God is saying, thank you for doing that work. Your higher self is saying, oh, thank you so much for doing this part of the cycle, embodying this portion of the cycle that you're embodying, whether it's the endings or the beginnings, whether it's the rest part, the deaths, the wilting, the quiet, the darkness, and the sleep, or whether it's awakening, a sprouting, a newness, childlike essence, or whether it's maturity and a graduation, fruition, whether you're blossoming and this is a time of fullness for you, It's going to be all these things in between too. Each part of the cycle is meaningful, because without one of them you can't have the other. And each one we know comes anew, because we know that with the seasons, right? We see the cyclic newness. God speaks that truth plainly to us with day and night, with all cycles. So I've talked enough now, and I feel I've done a good closure here, a roundabout for myself as a little pep talk too. So thank you for listening. Thank you again for your audience and for your fractal, beautiful contribution to our collective. We wouldn't be the same without you. And I'll see you next time.